Hi guys, this is Mani Chopra here at the June Titans event with a property winner of the Investor of the Year, Toby Spanier. Hi Toby.
Hello.
Well, firstly, welcome to Titans. I know it's your first time, so hope you will have a good evening.
I'm sure I will. It's a very impressive setup here already.
Thank you so much. So Toby, tell us all about this award-winning deal, a little bit about yourself, because we obviously never met before, so it'll be great to hear a little bit about you.
Well, like most people in property's been a second career. I had 25 years in corporates as a management consultant before deciding I wanted to be a property investor. And I started in 2017 and just kind of grew it from there. And I won the awards this year because I did a big deal using very little money.
Nice.
And that's kind of what I specialise in. Because the thing people find the hardest is finding that 25% deposit.
100%.
And if you can find a way that you don't need a 25% deposit, that you can create that money from the building, or you can borrow it from the vendor, or you can get the bank to lend you 100% of the purchase price, then suddenly you can do big deals because you don't need any cash.
A large sum of money. So what was the specific deal and how did you raise the money?
So the deal that won me the award was for a block of 24 flats. I agreed to buy it for £3.1 million. I paid £1 as a deposit, and I have 10 years before I need to complete. And I'm essentially renting the building from the freeholder, and I pay him the same amount of money that he was making when he was running the building, but that money is split into interest and capital repayments. And over the 10 years, the capital repayments build up more than 25% of the £3.1 million purchase price. So when I get the bank involved in X years' time, they'll say, where's your deposit? It's already in the building. I already own it.
So 3.1 is what you've agreed, and you're overpaying him effectively?
I structured it so he's getting the same. He goes to his mates in the pub and brags, this guy Spanier's an idiot. He's agreed to buy this building from me for £800,000 more than it's currently worth, and he's paying me the same amount of money that I used to make after all my costs for me to do nothing. So he is really happy. He is now retired. He's got a steady income stream of this money coming in. No matter what, he doesn't have to do anything for it. So he's happy.
And your monthly payments have been covered by the rent.
Exactly. So like most retiring landlords, he hadn't really managed the property properly and the rents were really low. So I come in with more energy. I'm able to increase the rents and make the deal a really attractive one for me, because I don't need to put a deposit in.
No.
The deposit for the property is coming from the property. It's the same thing when Elon Musk, you may not like him, but when he wanted to buy Twitter, he didn't turn up with any money. He just raised debt on Twitter. He used his shares from Tesla. He did everything other than actually put real cash in. And often these big purchases, be it a football club, you use the asset to buy the asset. So that's all I'm doing.
It's like collateral?
It's just having a plan for the asset that's better than how it's currently being used, being able to increase the income that it creates, and then using that surplus to buy the property.
So who owns the property now and land registry?
So it's still owned by the freeholder. I pay for the insurance, but it's still in the freeholder's name. I'm effectively renting the building from him.
Oh, so you got a lease in place?
I have a lease in place, but I've exchanged on the property. So I've got a legal right to
buy it.
I'm obligated to buy it. I have no choice but to buy it. But I can choose when to buy it at any point in the next 10 years.
So it's a condition, not a condition, it's an exchange with delayed completion.
A delayed completion
but with
10
not
years.
a set date.
No, a set date of 10 years, any time within
Do you
the
have a
next 10
long
years.
stop completion date?
The long stop is 10 years' time.
Yeah.
I think that's enough. I think I'll be able to.
Of course, yeah.
And of course, as soon as it gets to the point that it's appreciated in value and my deposits in the building are enough that I can raise 75% of the purchase price, at that point it makes sense for me to complete. But I've got quite a long period of time to choose when to do that.
Sure. And that cash flow that goes in, say, for example, £10,000 a month, roughly, I'm just saying. Of that, certain level is an interest component and the rest is capital.
Yeah, it might be a bit complex for your views, but it's quite straightforward. He wanted a certain amount of money and he wanted 5% interest, which is pretty cheap.
Oh, right.
So of that amount of money, 5% is interest of me borrowing the building off him,
Yeah.
and the rest is capital. And it basically means about £5,000 a month is a capital repayment, £60,000 a year. And because it's a diminishing balance,
Yeah.
so every month I owe less money, then every month I'm increasing the amount of capital I'm putting in.
Yeah.
And so that tiny little difference creates another £150,000 over 10 years.
So-
Tiny difference of just a
so
reducing balance.
25% is around 75,000?
£775,000.
700, yeah, sorry.
And just this process will raise £782,000 in deposits. The amount I'm paying every month just builds up the
Towards-
deposit of just over 25% equity.
Right, amazing. That is very creative. How did you come up with this?
Like all things, it's all about motivation. The guy wanted to sell. He wanted to sell at a price that no one in the market was interested at buying. So he was a landlord who had an unrealistic expectation for the value of the property. But rather than me telling him he was wrong, I came and said, "You're right. How much do you want? If you want that, I can pay that. But for me to pay that amount of money, we need to do it in this way."
You know what? You've just given me an idea for one of my deals where it's exactly the same position. They want a lot more money. It doesn't work. However, in cash flow terms, it probably will work. It's got great cash flow potential.
Exactly. Now, people, these vendors get stuck on a magic number. Once that
Yeah.
number's in their heads, they
it's stuck.
can't get rid of it. But if you use the word exchange and I will pay asking price, they suddenly relax and go, "Yeah, what else do you need? Yes,
It's the
fine,
legal
fine."
terms they want to hear, right?
Exactly, and because they then know the building is sold and they can relax because it's sold. They've got a legal system. Once it's exchanged, that it's sold. They don't have to worry about it anymore.
And you did that deal, obviously, presumably face-to-face negotiating with
Yeah,
them.
but like all my deals, they start on market with Rightmove. Anyone could have done this deal, and the thing just didn't sell.
Yeah.
It then went into auction and then got withdrawn from auction. So I obviously knew that the amount of money the guy wanted wasn't what the market would
Unrealistic. It
support.
wasn't working.
But often, if you work with your vendors, most people see this as a fixed pie problem. For me to win, you as a vendor need to lose. I need to take more than 50%, you have to have less than 50%. And as a vendor, you're never really going to want to do a deal in that
Yeah.
situation unless
Yeah.
you're really desperate.
Yeah,
So my approach is, let's grow the size of the pie, and then we can both walk away with bigger
Yeah.
pieces. And if someone wants more than its market worth, then fine, let's talk about what we can do. Why am I buying the property with bridging and then refinancing?
And paying the bank crazy
and paying the
money.
bank when the vendor wants more money than it's really worth, but they might be able to do a deal where they are your bridger. And once you look at your bridging costs and what you want to pay for the property, you add the two things together, it might be the asking price that the vendor wants. So there's just different ways of getting to the same things.
Absolutely. And I think the key thing in this whole thing is obviously the creativity that you've used, but more importantly, the motivation is very important. It's got to be, they've tried every single avenue and nothing's worked, and then they know.
But I have a secret, well, it's not be a secret for long, a secret methodology, and it's called my cup of tea methodology.
Which
And
you're
I
going to share
sit
with us
down
today?
with the vendor and I have a cup of tea. And I talk about everything other than the property. I talk about who they are. I just have a nice chat. And it's a nice chat, but I'm picking up information that helps me come up with ideas of how I might be able to solve that person's problems. And in this case, one of the things the guy did not want to do, he had 100 properties, he'd sold them all off, this was his last property, he couldn't retire until this thing was sold, and he didn't want to make his team redundant. Yeah. And I thought, why am I buying this property, or agreeing to buy this property? He fires all his staff, and then I have to hire staff to manage this property. Why don't I just say, I'll take your property, I'll take your people? And because he didn't, they were law for him for 15 years. And when I did that, he suddenly changed his perception of me and became much more interested in coming to a deal. So it's all about finding people's motivations.
Yeah.
And they're never going to tell you. You just need to ask lots of questions and then make lots of offers.
Yeah.
And this wasn't the first offer I made. I probably did 5 or 6 different permutations to come up with something which you went, yeah, actually, that does work. Let's do the deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I'm really excited for your presentation now. I'm sure you've got loads of other secrets for us. I'm afraid you guys missed out, but we can come back to the next one. The next one's on the 11th of September. This is our last summer one because we are having loads of different parties and functions and socials in the summer because it's all about having fun as well, right? And so we'd love to see you at the next one, September 2025. Toby, looking forward to your talk, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers.